A simple act of kindness can change everything. But he never expected it to change his entire life. It was a freezing evening, and Daniel pulled his worn-out hoodie tighter around himself as he waited for the bus. The wind cut through his clothes, but he barely noticed. His shift at the auto repair shop had been long, and exhaustion weighed heavy on him. He exhaled, his breath turning into a misty cloud in the cold air. Then he saw her. A woman stood a few feet away, hugging herself, shivering uncontrollably. She wore an expensive-looking dress, completely unsuited for the bitter weather. Her arms were bare, and she had no jacket, no scarf, nothing. It was clear she was freezing. Daniel hesitated for only a second before shrugging off his hoodie. He walked over, holding it out. "Here, you need this more than I do." The woman looked up, startled. Deep blue eyes met his, filled with something he couldn't quite place. Was it gratitude? Or something else? She hesitated, glancing at the hoodie. "I can't take that. You'll be cold." Daniel shrugged. "I'll survive. You, on the other hand, look like you're about to turn into an icicle." She let out a breathy laugh, then, after a moment, accepted the hoodie. As she slipped it on, warmth spread through her body, not just from the fabric, but from the unexpected kindness. "Thank you," she murmured. "I really needed that." Daniel nodded. "No problem." He stuffed his hands into his pockets, rocking on his heels. He figured she was just another late commuter who had underestimated the weather. But he was wrong. The bus arrived, and they both stepped on. Daniel took a seat near the back, and the woman sat near the front, clutching his hoodie like it was the most valuable thing in the world. He didn't expect to see her again. But fate had other plans. The next morning, Daniel walked into the auto repair shop, rolling his shoulders to shake off the fatigue from the previous night. He barely had time to grab his toolbox before his boss, Mike, shouted across the garage. "Daniel, get to Bay 3. Some big shots got car trouble. Don't screw it up." Daniel sighed. Probably another rich client with an expensive car and an attitude to match. He grabbed his rag and made his way over. But the moment he reached the luxury black sedan, his breath caught. Sitting inside, looking at her phone, was her. The woman from last night. His hoodie was folded neatly in her lap. She glanced up, and their eyes met. For a second, there was only silence. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. Daniel cleared his throat, shifting awkwardly. Hey." She chuckled. "Hey." Before he could say anything else, she stepped out of the car, extending a hand. "I never got to properly thank you for last night. I'm Evelyn Carter." Daniel wiped his hand on his jeans before shaking hers. "Daniel Reed." "Daniel," she repeated, nodding. "Well, Daniel, I think fate has a funny way of working. I was just about to call for a mechanic, and here you are." Daniel let out a short laugh. "Yeah, fate's got a sense of humor, all right." Evelyn leaned against the car. "I assume you work here?" He nodded. "Yep, been fixing cars since I was a kid." Her gaze flickered over him, thoughtful. "You're good at what you do?" Daniel smirked. "The best." Evelyn grinned. "Good, because I think I need more than just a quick fix on my car." Daniel frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then said, "How would you feel about working somewhere bigger? Somewhere that pays what you actually deserve?" Daniel blinked. "Are you offering me a job?" Evelyn tilted her head. "I'm offering you an opportunity." Daniel had no idea what was happening, but one thing was clear. Last night's simple act of kindness had led him straight into something he never saw coming. Daniel stared at Evelyn, unsure if he'd heard her right. "An opportunity?" he repeated, wiping his hands on his work pants. "What kind of opportunity are we talking about?" Evelyn leaned against her car, watching him with an appraising look. I own Carter Automotive. We design and manufacture high-end car parts. Lately, I've been looking for someone who understands the mechanics of cars, not just the theory, but hands-on knowledge. Someone like you. Daniel let out a short laugh, shaking his head. You're joking. Evelyn smiled. Do I look like I'm joking? He glanced at her expensive outfit, her perfectly styled hair, and the confident way she carried herself. It finally clicked. She wasn't just some well-off woman waiting for a tow. She was the Evelyn Carter, the CEO of one of the biggest automotive companies in the city. Daniel felt a mix of disbelief and hesitation. Look, I appreciate the offer, but I'm just a mechanic. I fix cars. That's what I do. Evelyn's expression softened. And that's exactly why I'm interested. I need someone who knows cars inside and out, not just someone with a fancy degree. I've seen too many engineers design parts that look great on paper but fail in the real world. You work with cars every day. You know what works and what doesn't. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, trying to process everything. Why me, though? You could hire anyone. Evelyn's lips curved slightly. Because I believe in rewarding kindness. You didn't know who I was last night, yet you gave me your only hoodie in the freezing cold. That told me everything I needed to know about the kind of person you are. Daniel swallowed hard. He had spent years grinding away in this repair shop, never expecting anything to change. And now, in less than 24 hours, his entire life was being flipped upside down. Before he could say anything, Evelyn reached into her purse, pulled out a card, and handed it to him. Think about it, she said. Call me if you're interested. Then, just like that, she slid back into her car and drove off, leaving Daniel standing there, staring at the business card in his hand. Carter Automotive. CEO, Evelyn Carter. He exhaled slowly, his heart pounding. This wasn't just some offer. This was a chance to change everything. Daniel sat in his small apartment that night, staring at the business card on his kitchen table. It felt unreal, like a dream he would wake up from any moment. He had spent years under cars, covered in grease, working late hours just to make ends meet. And now, the CEO of Carter Automotive was offering him an opportunity that could change everything. His fingers traced over the embossed letters of Evelyn's name. Was this really possible? Could a guy like him, with no fancy degrees or corporate experience, actually have a shot at working for one of the biggest car manufacturers in the city? He picked up his phone, hesitated, then set it back down. He wasn't the kind of man who made impulsive decisions. But something about this felt right. The next morning he found himself dialing Evelyn's number before he could talk himself out of it. She answered almost immediately. Daniel. He exhaled, steadying himself. I've thought about it. If the offer still stands, I'd like to take it. There was a pause, then a satisfied chuckle. I was hoping you'd say that. By the afternoon, Daniel found himself in a sleek, glass-walled office building that looked nothing like the greasy repair shop he was used to. He felt out of place, his calloused hands fidgeting as he waited in a meeting room filled with executives in tailored suits. Evelyn walked in, her presence commanding the room instantly. She gestured for him to sit. Let's get something straight, Daniel. You're here because I believe in what you can do. I don't care about degrees. I care about results. Daniel nodded, still feeling the weight of the moment. She slid a document toward him. This is a contract. If you sign, you'll be joining my team as a consultant. Your job will be to test and refine our new line of performance parts, real-world expertise, the kind of knowledge that can't be taught in a classroom. His eyes widened as he skimmed the details. The salary alone was more money than he had ever imagined making. Benefits, bonuses, things that had always felt out of reach. But there was one thing that made him pause. "I don't know how to work in a corporate environment," he admitted. "I'm just a mechanic." Evelyn leaned forward. "That's exactly why I want you. No corporate nonsense, no empty theories. Just a guy who knows cars better than anyone else." For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stir inside him. Hope. He picked up the pen, took a deep breath, and signed his name. Evelyn smiled. "Welcome to Carter Automotive." At that moment, Daniel realized offering his jacket to a stranger that night had changed his life in ways he never could have imagined.